Hi, my name is Natalie, and I am doing the topic of scapegoat children. First, before I go into anything else, I just want to talk a little bit about what the definition of scapegoat children is, and then I'll talk about all the rest of the things. So, scapegoating basically is picking out one child and blaming them for everything that's happening in the family, even if they have absolutely nothing to do with the issue to begin with. They are the ones who are usually from dysfunctional families. We don't see it happening near as often in families who are functional, but instead dysfunctional. So that can look like parents who are narcissistic. Perhaps they can't handle their own issues and they just want all the attention on themselves. And so they pick out a child who they believe, maybe they're the odd one out. Maybe they have a different personality disorder that is different from the rest of their children. For whatever reason, this child is picked out to be the scapegoat. And it's not fair, but it's happening so often, more often than we even know, and perhaps it's happening even right here in our own county. And so, that's just a general definition of scapegoating. Now I will be talking about the historic overview of scapegoating. So I had no idea until I started doing research that the term scapegoating is actually used in scripture. And specifically in Leviticus 16, it talks about how goats were mortally sacrificed, and that coined the term scapegoating. They were the scapegoats because they were mortally sacrificed. And now it is used for children who are kind of in that same predicament. Now they aren't being killed physically, but emotionally and mentally they are being sacrificed in their family, which is just incredibly heartbreaking and sad to me that they are now referred to as the scapegoats, just as goats were in scripture. And so now I will be talking about who the victims and the perpetrators are in this situation. Almost every time the perpetrator is the parents, and unfortunately when it's not the parents, it's usually the other siblings in the family because they have learned from their parents always targeting one child to be the scapegoat, and so now the other siblings are following along in those footsteps, and it's so sad, but that's usually who the perpetrators are, and it's super hard to spot at the same time. But the victim is a child who's done nothing wrong in the family, and usually the child will have an externalized behavioral issue, and that's usually why they are picked out to be the scapegoat, but that's not always why. Sometimes parents just can't handle their own problems, their own conflicts, and so it's just easier to pick out, a random child that they have and just pass that along to them so that they can handle the parents' issues, and sometimes they are told that they are the issue, that they're the problem. And so super sad situation, but yes, the victim is usually just one of the children at random, and the parents are almost always the perpetrator, but sometimes it can also be the other siblings and the family. So now we'll talk about social problems that can occur with a child who has repeatedly been told that they are the problem, they are the issue, what's wrong with you, like all of this stuff, all of their lives. They can end up having serious social problems. So the top two social problems would be anxiety and depression, but if the issue has become so severe in the child's brain, then they could also experience suicidal thoughts, which is it just blows my mind that a child who is supposed to be in a family that is functional and thriving and where they feel loved and safe and cared for and nurtured, like, they can feel the complete opposite to the point where they just don't even want to survive anymore. Like, that just really hit me when I was researching all the social issues that come with a child who has become the victim of scapegoating. Just incredibly sad. They also, not only will they probably experience those social issues, but they will probably also experience a lot of self-hatred and deep desperation for someone to just sit there and to see the child and to let the child's voice be heard, because they're not really allowed to do that in the home that they're at right now. And so as the child grows up, they are really seeking that just someone will reach out to them and let them be heard and let them be seen. And so there's a lot of desperation there and a lot of self-hatred. Like, they don't like themselves because no one else likes themselves. So, they set that example for the child, and now they can't even love themselves because of that. And so those are a few of the social issues that will most likely occur with a child who has become the victim of scapegoating. And now, next, I'll talk about the agencies and the churches that are involved. This really, really hit me when I was researching. There is just little to nothing to help these children out. There is one agency that I found, and it's called the Department of Family and Protective Services, and it's actually right here in Ellis County, and they help children who are in crisis situations such as extreme scapegoating. But other than that agency, there's just nothing around here. And as far as churches go, the problem is that no one really knows if a child is being has become the victim of scapegoating, unless the child reaches out and tells a trusted adult about what's going on in the home. Otherwise, they're just not gonna know. And so I think that's a major reason why there's really no help out there for them. But I believe that if we can train churches to at least see some of the red flags that a child could have when they have become the scapegoat, I think that would really, really help out the situation, and maybe there would be less scapegoating in the future. But as for right now, there's really not a lot that can be done to help them. So this brings me up to, how would I assist with the situation? Well, after researching and finding little to no help, I would have a huge heart to start perhaps a nonprofit organization to help these children. I would like to hire college students to become mentors and just give these children that older brother and sister relationship that's healthy and where they can feel loved and valued and cared for, because I know that they are getting the complete opposite in their biological family right now. And so I would love to start a nonprofit that would be specifically for children who are the scapegoats, who don't feel worthy, who don't feel cared about. And that would really, really, I think that would really help these children in this situation. That's how I would want to assist with this issue. So current research, what I have found is that, I'm a little surprised, I guess, but not super surprised, because, what I found in one of these journal articles is that the children who are most targeted in scapegoating are those who have externalized symptoms or externalized behavioral issues such as ADD, ADHD, any type of mental health issue. They are usually more targeted in the family, based on a journal article that I researched. And so that makes sense, because if the family sees that there's an issue with a child, they just don't want to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with it even. And so they just pick them out to become the scapegoat. And so the last thing I would mention in this presentation is that I interviewed a lady named Catherine Jones. She works at the Department of Family and Protective Services as a program director of investigation, and she helps these kids who have become these victims, which is super, super cool. And one of the questions that I asked her was, what is most needed right now in where you're at? And she says that we just need more volunteers. We need more college students who are graduating from SAGU to come in and to be the light, to be the mentors that these children need. And that really hit me a lot, because, man, what an impact that we have the opportunity to make on these children by just giving up a few hours, even just a few hours a week, can make such a difference for these children. And that hit me, and I think I might try to get involved now, because I really want to help out these kids and let them know that there are people out there who do genuinely care about them. And so, yeah, that would really impact me and impact them a lot. And so, yeah, that's all I have. Thanks for allowing us to do this presentation. I had a lot of fun doing all the research and learning more about what it's like to be a scapegoat child. Thanks.